And now turning to South America, Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro has once again slammed the U.S. government's deployment of warships to the southern Caribbean. Speaking at a conference with international media in Caracas on Monday, Maduro said his country was at maximum preparedness and ready to respond if attacked by forces Washington has in fact deployed in the region.
Esta rueda de prensa es muy importante.
This press conference is important because Venezuela is facing the greatest threat that the continent has seen in the last 100 years. 8 military ships with 1,200 missiles and a nuclear submarine are targeting Venezuela. It is an extravagant, unjustifiable, immoral, and absolutely criminal, bloody threat. Absolutely criminal.
Y un submarino nuclear apuntan.
Known for his fiery anti-U.S. tirades, Maduro said communication with Washington have broken down and warned if he would constitutionally declare a quote-unquote republic in arms if the U.S. launched an attack.
If Venezuela were attacked, it would immediately enter a period of armed struggle in defense of the national territory, in defense of the history and people of Venezuela, and we would constitutionally declare the republic in arms.
Maduro has also warned President Donald Trump that any U.S. military action against Venezuela would, in his words, stain his hands with blood.
Mr. President Donald Trump, you must be careful because Marco Rubio wants to stain your hands with blood, South American, Caribbean, Venezuelan blood. They want to drag you into a bloodbath, to tarnish the Trump name forever with a massacre against the Venezuelan people, with a terrible war across South America and the Caribbean.
Now, during the press, Maduro also accused the United States of seeking to topple his regime through the deployment, even as he extended an offer of peace to President Trump.
On a human level, if you asked Nico, that is me, what message I would send to Mr. Donald Trump, President of the United States, I would say, seek peace. In us, you will always find a friendly hand for peace, for development, for independence, for dignity, and with respect. The pursuit of regime change is exhausted and has failed as a policy worldwide.
Now, Maduro's latest comments come at a time when tensions have been at their highest over the deployment, which Washington says aims to address threats from Latin American drug cartels. Reports indicate most seaborne drug traffic to the U.S. moves via the Pacific, not the Atlantic, where the U.S. forces are currently stationed. However, to be clear, the U.S. has not made any threat of invasion, and reports suggest the U.S. Navy has deployed 3 destroyers and 1 cruiser with 3 amphibious assault ships expected to enter this week. Washington has also reportedly deployed a nuclear-powered submarine and has been flying spy planes in the region to gather intelligence. In response, Venezuela has sent its own warships and drones to patrol the coastline and has also launched a drive to recruit thousands of militia members to bolster its defenses. Speaking about the militias on Monday, Maduro said more than 8 million Venezuelans have enlisted as reservists so far.
We have reached a consolidated figure of enlisted militiamen and reservists of 8,200,000 Venezuelans, men and women, who have stepped forward and said, I am ready. 8,200,000 Venezuelans, but it remains open.
Venezuelan Foreign Minister, citing a United Nations report, reportedly told counterparts in several Latin American countries that the deployment of U.S. maritime forces was built on a quote-unquote false narrative. However, reports indicate that Guyana's President Irfaan has welcomed Washington's military deployment, stating that his country would support any measure to eliminate threats to its security and the region. Now, Maduro has been in Donald Trump's crosshairs since the Republicans' first term from 2017 to 2021. More recently, Washington doubled down on the bounty for Maduro's capture to $50 million from $25 million. In addition, his 2024 re-election has been not recognized by the United States or much of the international community. In defending himself, Maduro reportedly insisted on Monday that he was the legitimate winner of last year's presidential election. However, reports have claimed otherwise, alleging that the polls were in fact fraudulent and rigged. So as Venezuela and the United States trade accusations over the deployment, the standoff continues to fuel uncertainty across the Caribbean, with regional security and diplomatic outreach hanging in the balance.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
$4 trilhões mo.
Portuguese,
Por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select the language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.